Welcome to Outsider Reviews. Today we've got the 2023 Volkswagen Taos Highline Edition. Now this vehicle comes in four particular trims. It starts all the way down from 29,000 Canadian and it goes all the way up to this one, which is $40,000 Canadian roughly, give or take dock fees and freight shipping fees. Now, this is equipped with a 1.5 liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It also has, it can put out about 158 horsepower and 184 pounds-feet of torque. It's an all-wheel drive model, although you can get it in two-wheel drive. It's equipped with a 7-speed transmission, has adaptive front light system, which they call IQ light, adaptive front light system, which means it's going to move with your turns. It's also going to go up and down with the hills with your front, which is pretty cool. It's got a light bar in the front. All the lights are LEDs, including the rear lights, which usually you see these kind of light bars in electric vehicles, but they decide to add it and put it into the internal combustion engine or gas engine, as you would like. I like that they're incorporating, because some of the stuff that came up with EVs were to, you know, get people's attention or had a efficiency purpose, which is what brings us all the way around here to the wheels. Now, the wheel size are 19-inch wheels, and if you look at the rims, they might look familiar if you are an EV follower. That's because these are the Katana rims. Their surface allows it to be less drag, more aerodynamic, which improves its fuel efficiency. Speaking of fuel efficiency, this vehicle gets about 8.4 liters in the city and 6.6 highway. Now, Outsider Reviews did its own real-life fuel economy test on this vehicle, and we found that 7.2 was the average, and we calculated that at the pump as well. We didn't just go off the infotainment system. We calculated at the pumps 7.2 liters. Check out that video on our channel. But when you take into consideration that this is a compact SUV, all-wheel drive, has a decent amount of horsepower, and has that kind of good fuel efficiency, I think this is a very good vehicle to buy, especially if you have a family or you need the room. This is a very good vehicle to have with that kind of efficiency. Now over here we have the keyless entry. You push the button, get in your car as long as you have the keys in your pocket. And if we come all the way to the back, again, the LED lights, some bumper cutouts. These are not the exhausts. Exhausts are tucked in underneath. 4Motion badge, meaning that this model is all-wheel drive, and this is the Taos. So this particular vehicle has what we call the IQ drive. The IQ drive is adaptive cruise control plus, so lane keep assist and so on. So basically it's going to be able to keep you in lane. We tried it on the drive from Montreal to Quebec City, had lots of fun with it. Didn't really have to correct it. It stayed in line, except for it telling us to hold on to the steering wheel. Sometimes if you don't put enough pressure or you're not firm enough on the steering wheel, it will beep at you telling you to make that adjustment. But otherwise, you set it to whatever cruise control speed you want. If there's a vehicle ahead of you, you set it the distance you want it to keep, and it'll stay in your lane. It'll keep you in that lane. Didn't have any corrections to do in curves, or even in right here in Quebec, the rough roads. It didn't have any issues with those. So that is actually particularly well. Now, if you look at the interior, this particular trim model comes in with a leather interior. So if we look at the door panel, this is plastic. but this is leatherette with some stitching. This is the same kind of hard plastic as you find like for piano black, but it's gray. I find that not too much issue leaving fingerprints. Not as much as the piano black, which you guys will find out if you follow this channel. I am not a fan of piano black. It gathers dust. You can see every single particle of dust and fingerprints there is. I wish vehicles would just stop, manufacturers would just stop using piano black. But this gray, I like. Door controls here, mirror controls, pretty standard. Gas door, gas cap opening. Rocks, they come with the gravel roads. Now we have the two-tone perforated leather seats. Can be ventilated and heated. And I actually have a bad back, being in the military for almost 20 years. So I can tell you that this has a great support. I didn't have any back issues for that 3-hour drive we did picking up the vehicle. If we look at the inside, again on the steering wheel, we have the adaptive cruise control buttons, and on the right side we have the different views of the 10.5-inch digital gauge cluster. So start buttons down here right next to the shifter. Sorry, I got a bit of it's been some cold weather these days. So we have the light controls down here. Adaptive cruise control on the steering wheel, pretty standard. Volume control. We have views and just changing different options on your digital gauge cluster, which we see now. So here we go. We have different, we can change the view. This is a map, and kind of hard to see on the camera, but you can make the map full screen or just have it in the options here, and even then you can change the info as to what you see. By just pressing these buttons here. You got your music selection here. Now, one thing that we don't have on the steering wheel is a call and hang up. We do have voice commands though, and this is connected to a H-screen touchscreen display that has wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. I don't understand why some manufacturers still have wired Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. It seems to me that everything should be wireless nowadays. So this one does have wireless. Love that feature. And to hang up, and you just have to use the touchscreen. Just press it, call and hang up button, and that's how I've been doing it. We got temperature controls down here, AC and heated seats and all. And here is the wireless phone charger. Again, great feature. I'm a big fan of it. Parking brake is a push button here. And we got the automatic on off right here. Going down to here, we have our cup holders, and here's a nice spot for pens and some lipstick. And here is where I put the snacks for all my kids. For actually, I just got one kid, but he eats a lot of snacks, so that's how much space there is in there. It's a pretty small center console, but it does the trick. Now we have some more of that gray plastic fabric there, and this one's equipped with a panoramic sunroof. If you can look around, like visibility, I find is amazing in this car for all the blind spots. Now all the blind spot is easy to see. So now we're going to take a look at the back seat, and one thing you'll notice is there's leatherette two-tone in the front doors, but not the back doors. This is plastic on both sides in the back seat. Now I'm gonna get in just to show you the space we got. I'm 5'9", and this is set from my driving position, and I have ample space. I can literally pretty much stretch out my legs, which is great for guys with knee problems like me. And I'm actually pretty comfortable. I could go for a road trip and be back here, which is not something I could say for every vehicle. We have a USB-C port right here for charging, and a little tiny space, not enough space to put a phone there or anything, but we do have vents, which is great for a vehicle this size. We have cup holders right here, which is great. And that's the back seat. Headroom is ample for me, but you could easily be 6 feet and not have any issues with the, especially with the sunroof. I find it just gives you that much more clearance up here, so lots of headroom. Let's take a look at the trunk. Now, trunk is hydraulic open. You just press the button and it'll open itself, but it's not powered tailgate, so basically you have to slam it closed. Lots of room back here. You got room for maybe a big hockey bag, maybe 2, but this is a gem right here. The pass-through for skis, hockey sticks, what have you, long items. So you can go for a road trip, 2 hockey players, and maybe a couple of non-hockey players in this, and you have room for all the gear and all the people. Which, for a compact SUV under $40,000, that's actually something that's really rare. So again, not a powered tailgate. You have to slam it shut. I do find that you do have to slam it, because sometimes you just close it, you'll still get an alert telling you that the trunk's still open. So, but stand by for our in-drive review, where we'll go over all these things. We've been driving this vehicle for a week, and we've got some things that we like, some things that we don't like. So stay tuned, and we'll give you that video right now. Alright, welcome to Outsider Reviews, and today we're taking a drive with the Volkswagen Taos 2023 Highline Edition. We're going to drive through this beautiful town of Quebec City. As far as suspension wise, what I found, Brian, is that this car actually handles really great. Oh, yeah. It's not too soft or too hard of a suspension. It is a sporty suspension that I find, because it can take curves pretty well. We'll probably test that when we're more out and about, when we can open her up. But yeah, so I like how tuned the suspension. I don't feel all the bumps. There's a nice cushion to it, but it's not so soft that it wobbles when you're taking tight curves. Okay. And that, for a compact SUV, like, I think that's key. I don't like driving a compact SUV that feels like a large SUV. Also, if we're going to talk about the acceleration, we'll put it to the metal a bit later on. But if we're going to talk about the acceleration, it lags. There's, in its first gear, like, don't expect to floor this thing and it goes right away. There is a turbo lag on this. This is a 1.5 liter engine with a turbo to it, but it's still a small engine, and you do feel that when you accelerate.
I'm kind of curious to see what this thing can actually do. This is the first time I've been sitting in it much while we're driving, so I've been on the outside a lot more than the inside, so I'm kind of curious. But I mean, from what I've seen you driving it so far, it looks pretty good from the outside. When it's rolling, it seems to handle well. Like
it does. It does handle very well.
Pretty comfy up front here. Where's my...
Yeah, the seats are actually very comfortable. I have the 8-way adjustable seats, and with the lumbar support, so that comes in handy.
Yeah, I'm just playing with mine here just to see what I can do with it.
Steering is speed adjusted steering, so it depends how fast you go. It adjusts, so it gives you more flex when you're close in and going slow. if you guys can tell too, the panoramic sunroof really opens this place up. Also, I have almost no blind spot really with the way the windows are in this vehicle. That's one thing I do find that is great about this vehicle, is that I've test drove some vehicles before, and you're looking at either the B pillar is just enormous and it creates a huge blind spot or not. I don't find that to be a factor. Pretty large rear window, pretty large rear quarter panel window, so that actually works really well for this car.
Yeah, I do love the headroom here. Obviously the sunroof will give you a little more space, but even if you didn't have if you got a model without one, I mean, I've got tons of room here, so
yeah,
and I need it.
Do not know where to go from here.
That's part of the adventure. It's just part of the adventure.
I think I'm gonna turn around.
Well, there you go. Tight spot, 3-point turn. Let's see if you can do it in 3 points.
Just use the sidewalk.
So reversing there, had a great view of the reverse camera.
Yeah, the reverse camera is pretty good on this. Also, the turning radius is actually pretty good. Here on the cobblestone, you get to really test that suspension.
It's not too bad, honestly. I mean, you can feel a little bit. Obviously, it's cobblestone, but
Yeah.
pretty good.
In the trunk, we have about 26 cubic feet of room, and you have a nice little pass-through. One thing we'll notice too, like on my actual gauge, we have the map as well, but that's not synced up to the Android Auto map. So if you have Google doing your navigation and you're using Android Auto to do your navigation, don't expect it to be on your digital gauge cluster for your vehicle. So there you have it. This concludes our review for the 2023 Volkswagen Taos Highline Edition. Now, here's what my likes and don't likes. Essentially, this vehicle handles very good. Visibility is great. Traction, great traction, as well as cargo space. Lots of cargo space, lots of rear passenger space. The only dislike that I'd say a little iffy on is the acceleration right off the bat from a dead start could be improved. And we did have an issue with the wireless Android Auto, so that might be one of my dislikes, but I understand that this happens every now and then to a vehicle. The fuel efficiency on this is something I really like. So if you want to take anything away, it's spacious, handles great, very fuel efficient. And that's our review. Stick around, press the subscribe, notification on, and don't forget to like this video, and please comment if you have any questions regarding this video or any other vehicle you would like us to review, and we'll try to make it happen. Until then, we'll see you next time.